D-Sword Vega.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my review of the Memorial Edition D-Sword Vega from Tokusou Sentai Dekaranger. You're probably wondering why you're looking at me and not the toy. Well, let me give you an example of what the box looks like. Yeah, this thing is huge and it's going to be tricky to review, but I figured it out. So, first things first, here's the packaging. This is the best look you're getting at it. It's got a Dekamaster on one side, of course, because, for those unaware, this is the main weapon of Dekamaster, also known as Dekaranger, commander of the Dekarangers, also known as the Shadow Ranger for those of you who love Power Rangers SPD. So this is pretty awesome because this is a full-size version of the D-Sword Vega, one we've never seen before. The original deluxe toy was one of those, like, short-ish toy swords that fit kids nicely, but this is made for us big adults with big money, because this was a big old premium Bandai exclusive, and the shipping charge was not kind, but I had to get it because I love Dekaranger. So this is it. This is the box. So like I said, nice shot of like the 100 logo and the helmet. On the other side of the box, you've got a nice layout of the sword, as well as a cool shot of Dekamaster. On this end, another shot of Dekamaster with the sword. And on this end, the SPD logo, as well as the Memorial Edition logo. And on the bottom, we also have another shot of Dekaranger with the sword, and all your legal text with Special Police Dekaranger SPD on the top. So, pretty awesome. And yeah, for size comparison's sake, and for the sake of looking at this thing in the broad sense, here it is. It is beautiful. It is amazing. I'm going to tell you I love it. We're going to take a look, of course, at all the electronic features, all the sounds, that kind of stuff, because a majority of the toy's features you can see from this section of it. So we can do all that in close-up. But in terms of the overall length, here it is. It's about, I think it's like 34 inches, something like that. It is pretty lengthy. It's you know, as you can see, it's kind of tricky. I have to back up a whole lot from the camera. The cool part too is it's very lightweight. It's not super heavy. So the blade itself here is not too flexible. It is a clear plastic painted silver, but it's actually, I wouldn't be whacking people with it. It's probably gonna hurt. But it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna warp from heat, because it feels pretty sturdy all the way down. Of course, be careful with it. Again, it's not really a toy so much as a giant prop replica piece. So pretty amazing, and honestly, I think it's super cool. But of course, we need to look at the interior details, the sound effects, the music, the voice lines, all that good stuff. And let's do that at a close-up so you can get a better look at some of the details of the D-Sword Vega. But before we go too far, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bell if you haven't already. Those two things help this video and help this channel immensely, and I greatly appreciate all of you who do that. But let's get on to the details of the D-Sword Vega. So before we get too close up, I wanted to show the sword on its pedestals, because it does come with these two stand pieces. This one can be positioned any point on the blade, and then there's this one here that has to be positioned right below, right in front of the trigger, so it can fit right there. Rest it nice and easy without pushing the buttons, and then you adjust it by adding the little piece there, and that can go pretty much anywhere on the blade. But I just want to kind of show the full length of this, because I won't be able to do that in any other close-ups. Alright, so let's take a close look at the D-Sword Vega. The nice part about reviewing this is that all the features are kind of contained in this area of the sword, so I can actually show it off in this version of the set, because otherwise the blade is too long. In fact, that is, here it is, up close. You can see it is a very nice silver painted blade into the red parts here, down to the clear red parts in the mouth area, and then the handle down here with the silver and the emblazoned SPD logo, as well as the Dekaranger police logo on the end. One of the other cool parts is it's pretty clean. This button does appear on the original prop, but other than that, you don't see any switches or levers. There are a couple of hidden buttons. We have a button here for music, and there is a sound effects attack button up there. Plus, they hid the speaker up in the dog's head, which is pretty cool. We will look at this in more depth and detail, but it's actually pretty clean on both sides. There's no screw holes visible, which is super cool. Now, in terms of the electronic features, one of the things you're going to have to do is you have to pull this cap off, and this is where your on-off switch is hidden, which is pretty cool. The other thing is, if you can notice, there's a bit of a seam line through here, and that is because if you want to change the batteries, you have to pop the cover off the back of the sword. And that can be kind of tricky to get a grip on. There is luckily like a hole on the bottom, but once you figure out the angle, it's pretty easy. So there you go. And then you unscrew this, and it takes 3 AAA batteries. So pretty easy, honestly. But it's really cool how nice and hidden all of this is. And then you just pop the little cap on, and you're good to go. But of course, we're going to turn this thing on because I think that is why we're here in this angle for sure. So let's flip the switch and turn it on. So as you can hear, you get Doggy Kruger's voice saying D-Sword Vega. And of course, we're going to put the cap back on there. So this is the main mode, of course, Doggy Kruger being the main user of this sword, though not the only one, and there are sound effects for that. But now that we're in this mode, we got a few different options while we're in the base closed form of the sword. So first things first, let's talk about the music tracks, because that's going to be the same no matter what mode you're in. You can press this button to play music over any of the sound effects. So as it runs, you can press the other buttons for other sound effects. But let's take a look at, or take a listen to what the 3 tracks of music are in the sword. So pretty cool. Those 3 songs, if you didn't recognize them, was the theme song to Dekaranger, Dekamaster Never Stop, which of course is Doggy Kruger Dekamaster's main theme, and then kind of like the main attack music when the Dekarangers are winning and about to do a judgment or a victory. Okay, so from here, you can't really do any attacks because it is in its sealed form, and that is what pushing this button will just get you kind of sound effects that are related to it being closed and unusable. So pretty much the only other feature in closed mode is that if you push this button, you'll get lines of dialogue from Doggy Kruger, and there are 3 of them. And since overall this thing doesn't have too many voice lines, you're going to hear all of them in this main video. Some of my other reviews, I put them in separate videos, but for this video, it's a few, so we're just going to do them here now. Alright, so that was basically just 3 lines that sort of is before he uses the sword and also after he uses the sword, so kind of a neat thing. Those are the only 3 lines you will get. But now it's time to talk about the big jaw feature. So on the older versions of this toy, none of which I have, the jaw would just kind of open. It would just be one of the features that the jaw would open and close. Here's a video example. Shout out to my friend Darkon633 who provided this video. It's just basically, it would just open up. And that was kind of the main feature. So on here, on the Memorial Edition, because this is all collector and fancy, and you don't have to worry about safety concerns, they have gone ahead and added a full gold chain. So the gold chain here does run from this latch up top, underneath the chin, and all the way around. And then there's a second gold chain that is connected here that goes on the inside. And so basically you have kind of this disconnected chain look over here, but this connected chain look over here, and then the gold clasp. So when you open the sword, the chain will pop off and kind of explode out the way that you would expect from the series. So there you go. And what's cool about this is that you do have the gold emblem for the police logo for Dekaranger. You do have the chain. Now, of note, this chain did have to get added after opening from the box. I don't think it removes, but you just had to plug it in here and plug it in here, and that attaches it. Now, of course, the question becomes, well, where does it go now? Because it can't just dangle down here. That's correct. So on the back of one of the little stands, these 2 little stand risers, on this one, you pull this piece out here, and then this will allow you to plug this piece on. So we're just going to plug it in here, and then we're going to plug this piece on there, and that'll stay and it'll hold kind of its natural position. It's one of those It's one of those things that's like the one prop that open has the chain that pops off, but the other prop that's the main sword just has it stored, so that's how we replicate it. And that's pretty cool, and I like that it stores in the handle. See, as you can still display this thing on these stands, but with the jaw open, it's not going to stand well. So what we're going to do is essentially, when you're done with it and you close up the sword, you take that piece, pop it back on the stand, and you're good to go. It's mostly just supposed to be when you have it in the open position. But also, you can see where the other chain plugs in on the inside here. So I don't know if there's going to be, the instructions mention possible rubbing on here. There could be some rubbing from the chain, so just be careful. It is meant to be an adult collector piece, not a toy, so play accordingly. The other cool part here is that, of course, all the music tracks are the same, works the same way, but now we get different sound effects in the trigger for the slashing sounds. We get 2 different slashing sounds, but after the 9th press, you will get the final attack sound. So that's pretty cool. That first sound you heard, though, was the like unsheathing of the sword and getting it ready for battle, and then all of those were just kind of different clanging sounds from pressing this, and then of course the final attack sound. Now the other cool part too is that you can mix this up with the music. So if you press the music button, you can also still use all the sound effects. Okay, so from here we have the voice lines, which of course is the black button. There's now 12 lines while it's in the open position. So pretty cool, nice variety of voice lines. Of course, there'll be more Doggy Kruger voice lines in the upcoming Master license. The cool part, too, is that they've actually added another feature, which is so specific to just one single thing, I'm kind of amazed it's even here. So if you hold down these 2 buttons, it'll switch from sword mode to rifle mode. And you might be confused because, you know, sword. It does have a rifle mode because in Dekaranger versus Dekaranger, like inexplicably, Doggy Kruger's in a helicopter and Dekamaster fires his sword like it's a rifle. So they included some specific sounds for that. You hold these down to switch over to that, and then you only get one voice line that is specific to that movie, and then you can make the firing sound of the rifle mode. It's honestly just an amazing attention to detail. So pretty cool, and then just to switch back, you just hold the 2 buttons again. Goes back to sword mode. What's also cool is that if you hold down just the attack button, after a period of time, it'll start playing a sequence which recreates the audio from the first episode Dekamaster debuted in, as well as his fight against the 100 robots. So you have full dialogue plus the music plus the sounds. And we're going to play it here, unless you see a weird edit, in which case YouTube didn't let me. But we're going to try it here. So pretty cool features all around. They really give you a lot to work with to just replicate a lot of the iconic moments of Dekamaster, Doggy Kruger himself. Now, of course, you can close the mouth back up, and to do that, you want to unlatch your latch here. Unlatch your latch. Anyways, this piece you can keep on here. It's not like you have to remove it to close it up. You can just leave it on there. It's just it will interfere with the stand because the stand goes right there. But other than that, I mean, you're good to go. So let's close up the D-Sword Vega. So would you believe it? That is not all this sword does. In fact, it has a second audio mode which replicates a specific episode, being the one where band Deca Red used the D-Sword Vega. So now in order to switch it into band mode, you need to turn it off and then turn it back on again, but this time when you turn it on, you need to be holding the dialogue button when you flip the switch. Alright, so while most of the sword functions will be pretty much the same on this, you will get some different lines of dialogue because it's going to be Bond themed now, which is pretty cool. So pressing this will give you 4 lines from Bond. So from here, pretty much a lot of the same functions are here. If you push the button, it has kind of that cancel negative sound. Of course, opening the sword will get you a, the full opening sword sounds. The sound effects for the attacks are the same, the music button is the same, but now we have 5 new lines from Bond specifically. So pretty cool, they added some Hoji lines as well into it. It's just kind of a nice little bonus mode. It definitely isn't as well featured as the Doggy Kruger mode in terms of number of voice lines, but you can still use the music button, you can still use the attack sounds and all that good stuff. So you still have all the features, including the special attacks. So it's honestly pretty good to have as a bonus feature. And I think that's really cool too, because it's something specific to the show. It's moments replicated. They even got down to the rifle mode from the Dekaranger versus Abba Ranger movie, which is really, really cool. And honestly, like, I just think that this is such a cool piece because much like with the previous Dekaranger Memorial Edition, which was the SP license, it has a lot of features to make you go, oh, hey, things from the show I remember, things I love, but not so many features that you're completely overwhelmed as to all the things included with it, which I've seen with some other Bandai items, like the CSM Agito belt, or things I didn't even review, like the Mabius Brace Ultra Replica. There's just so many features in those, it's hard to review them, whereas with these, I feel like I can actually, like, play through all the sounds and not get bored with, like, 175 voice lines, but instead just having, like, 12 is pretty awesome. And overall, I'm just really happy with these 2 items so far, and I'm looking forward to more Memorial Edition Dekaranger. Okay, so I mentioned it was big, but how big, that is the main question. One thing I did want to point out that I did notice while reviewing it that I hadn't noticed prior, the blade part here, so you see when you press the sword button, you get all that glowing effect out the front, because there's an LED right about here. But since this blade is done with clear plastic painted silver, that means if you look at the end of it, there's a little bit that hangs out all the way down here where the paint's a little thinner along the top part of the blade. But what I think is kind of neat is that if you're in the rifle mode, it kind of works with the rifle effect, like this. See where it kind of fires off the end there? I just thought that was kind of a neat little thing to point out. Now, this has been, I think many people have done the measurements and the comparisons. I believe this is the longest Memorial Edition sword to date. So in terms of displaying, it shouldn't be too hard because it is a little bit thinner on the blade part, but it does make it very long. The only other Memorial Edition sword I have is the Ryu Soulken, which is not nearly as lengthy as the D-Sword Vega. Now, on the flip side, the Ryu Soulken has like LED lights that run through this whole portion of the blade that sync up to the actual sword. Plus, the Soulken can accept Ryu souls, so it adds some more features to it, which is why I think the D-Sword Vega was a little bit cheaper than some of the other Memorial swords, because it does have every feature it needs, but it's not as feature-rich as something like this because it's from a different era where they weren't really collecting gimmicks. So you can see there is a significant difference. Now, the other thing that's interesting, probably because this thing has a reader in it and a lot more LEDs, because there's like, I think, 8 colors of LEDs in here. This is super light, kind of easy to wield. It's not too heavy. This has got some heft to it and heft to it, and it can kind of be a little bit weightier. Also, I kind of feel like it has like the handle. The handle feels secure, but it creaks a little bit, whereas this feels really, really nice. This is the nicest feeling of these big old weapons that I've gotten so far. The only other one that comes close in size to this in my personal collection would be the Legacy Gold Zeo Power Staff. The only thing size-wise this really can match up to is the Gold Power Staff from the Power Rangers Legacy line, which you can see they're about the same length. I think the D-Sword Vega is actually maybe, let's see if I can line this up. I think, because I don't want to take this staff down, it's really nicely placed. I think the D-Sword Vega is just about the exact same length. So these are the two largest weapons then from either Power Rangers or Sentai, but there you go. It's about the same length as the Power Staff. So overall, I can really recommend this if you're a big Dekamaster fan, if you're a big Dekaranger fan and you can afford it. It is expensive. There's no way around that. The initial price point, just as well as everything involved. It is a beautiful piece, though. I think that as an item, it's pretty amazing. It's one of my favorites. It doesn't have any like glaring issues. It's pretty solid. It's just, are you willing to spend the price to get it? That's pretty much what it comes down to. And are you willing to find a place to display? It's not so hard to display because it does come with those stand pieces if you can find a space that's long enough vertically. But like for me, I'm probably going to find a nice way to display it like across like my Dekaranger shelf. But it's even like longer than my shelf, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to store it, but it's not overly cumbersome, so it's going to be a little bit easier, but I really like it. I really, really do. Now, will we see other weapons in the Memorial Edition line? Because we have seen a couple weapons that aren't changers, like the Ryu Soulken or like the Zanglass sword for Dawn Brothers, but those were interacting with gimmicks. This is like our first like standalone weapon piece. Will we see other Dekaranger weapons, like the D revolver, the D arms, the D knuckle, that kind of stuff? I don't know. But I'm really curious to see if they'll do more stuff like this, because I really do like this. It's a really cool piece. So overall, that's pretty much my review on it. So that pretty much does it for the video. I probably should have said that at the start, but I had already reviewed the Memorial Edition SP license. I probably slapped its thumbnail card when I brought it up earlier. And I'm planning to pick up the Memorial Edition SP1 license from the 20th anniversary movie, as well as the Master license, of course, and any future Dekaranger Memorial items. So if you want to see reviews on those, be sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. It's the best way to keep up with things on this channel. You can also hit the like button. It really helps support the video, helps support the channel. Plus, leave any questions, comments, concerns in the comments down below. Tell me which weapon from Dekaranger you'd like to see them make. I really want the D revolver from SWAT mode, because I think it'd be really cool. Maybe they could motorize like the barrels on it. I think that'd be super awesome. On that, if you want to continue the conversation, you can find our Discord server in the link below. Come join, come hang out. Good times all around. Plus, join our live streams on this YouTube channel every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We talk about all kinds of tokusatsu news, toy news, Blu-ray news, comic news, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to check out the channel memberships if you want to help support the channel directly to continue videos like this coming out on a regular basis. It really helps support the channel immensely, and thank you everybody who is a channel member. If you want to join, there's perks like early access to videos, member-exclusive live streams, and other cool things. You can check the details in the join button down below. Let's give some special shout-outs to our channel members. Special shout-out to all of our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Spin-54, Toma K, MasterBen95, Jamie's World, Jack Move Johnny, Yukino Sayuki, Michael Flores, Steel, Aaron, Rabbitman, Shigs, Jess Hood, Vigo, Common Pikachu, Geets, Andy Stutz, Joy-Con Girl, Dazagdo, Ben Odinson, Forever1000, Izuto727, Philippe Saruno, Star Warrior Robbie, Gustav, Cameron Meter, Hasbeen Hotel and Hell of a Boss Edit, Isabella Lawrence, Digital Realm, Stay-at-Home Meatbag, and Kyle. Thank you all for your support of this channel. You can find me across most social media platforms at Soundout12. You can find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for tokusatsu interviews, news, reviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Jigoku no Bunkin, Dekamaster!